So, hello, it is a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank the organizing committee for this invitation and give me this opportunity to share my work I've been developing in these last years. So, so C-skirts are potato-shaped organisms that are born as free-swimming tadpole-like larvae, and the larvae swims until it finds a place to attach itself and metamorphose. And later the tail, which is a notochord and nerve cord, it is absorbed and disappears, losing its mobility. So what can we learn from these skirts? The brain probably evolved to allow living things to move, and thus allowing humans to maintain healthy bones, heart, and muscles so that they can escape danger or access resources in several ways, and thus socialize, interact, always maintaining a healthy brain, which secure human species and evolve. So locomotion is one of the physical activities most common in the human living lives, and thus it is very relevant for deep independency and for human living executing its activities of daily living. So while developing my research, I framed my background in electronics and robotics, and I decided to focus my research in movement and in particular locomotion. So in order to do so, I first looked at why you could have an impaired gait. And locomotion can be compromised and impaired in several ways. And several neurological diseases are the causes of these walking disorders and disability among adults. In an aging population, there is an increased incidence of age-related disorders and neurological diseases, and thus that strongly compromise the movement. For instance, stroke affects around 15 million people per year, 1.1 million per year in Europe, and in Portugal, 25,000, and is also one of the main common cause of long-term motor disability and functional dependency in the long term. Also, we have other diseases like Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis or spinal cord injury, which affects severely the gait. So this long-term motor disability results in impaired motor function with asymmetric gait, reduced functional motor autonomy, skeletal muscle weakness, and spasticity. And this leads to an increased postural instability with higher risk of falls and less mobility. Thus, the final result is a compromised motor function, limiting the patient's ability to carry out activities of daily living, and thus entailing considerable costs related to work exclusion, social dependency, early retirement, and expensive treatments. So overall, this increases health and social costs and reduce independency and quality of life. Besides this, due the population aging, these costs are even expected to increase in the next years. So how is this dealt, this motor impairment? Usually is dealt with physical rehabilitation, which includes to perform specific movements that improve motor recovery and minimize functional deficits and foster muscle plasticity. In fact, rehabilitation helps to improve lost functions, reduce muscle spasticity and pain, and improve range of motion. However, in order to be effective, this rehabilitation, it has to be specific to the needed skills and depends on the frequency, intensity, and repetition of the therapeutic intervention, which have to be carefully adjusted. There are, in fact, requirements in this rehabilitation, traditional rehabilitation. It must be progressive and regular, and if badly adjusted, it may cause continued weakness and inability to function. Further, traditional rehabilitation is very labor intensive. It is based many times on a subjective analysis and demands time-consuming and manual assistance, what causes a very expensive treatment and a burden to the healthcare system. And this, all this together demands for physical therapy. As I said, this demand is growing to the population aging, and since it is very relevant, it has been promoting innovative research to make it more affordable and available. So, such that in the end we have a continuous and less expensive service. And therefore, rehabilitation and assistive robotics appears as one answer to these open demands. And so appears robotics for rehabilitation, in which basically it is related to the application of robotic technology in therapeutic procedures for achieving the best possible motor and cognitive functional recovery. And in several aspects, it appears as a promising complementary possibility that could enhance the rehabilitation outcomes. For instance, one can here discuss exoskeletons or active orthoses that mainly focused on helping to cope with environment, but usually solutions are still not personalized and many times are constrained to clinical settings. Thus, this gives rise to a need and opportunity to move rehabilitation robotics beyond assistive technology by developing physical, interactive, and user-friendly robots that will facilitate recovery. And they will, because they will be able to provide higher dose of repetitive task-specific training during daily activities, or holistically assess patients' progress and intentions in real time, while they provide measured personalized assistance as needed therapy based on seamless human-machine interaction, and thus will be able also to augment the actual clinical evaluation scales with robot-based evaluation tools. And so this motivated my research, and that's where I will focus my presentation now. In some case studies we had been addressing at the Biomedical Robotics Device Lab, which I am led, and I'm presenting here some work. So I will focus on two case studies, which all of them have follow a user-centered approach that by principle engages end users such as clinicians and physiotherapists. And we are using in contact with the physical medicine and rehabilitation and neurology departments from Braga Hospital through the Clinical Research Center, and also patient groups and their families and caregivers and enterprises such as, for instance, Ortos Company and Plux. All the cases, the both cases I will present, they facilitate the acquisition or recovery of motor control in motor impaired individuals by delivering measured therapy. They also try to achieve a symbiotic human-machine interaction, and they exploit their potentials as evaluation tools to evaluate the patient progress. So the first case study I will present is the smart robotic walker for gait ataxia rehabilitation. And this work focused in ataxia, which is responsible for a serious dysfunction at the multi-articular coordination level, causing several problems, including difficulties in gait and inability to maintain balance, as we can see here on the side, some patients walking. The motor incapacity of these patients results in a gait with a notorious biomechanical and functional deficit, which thus translates to a lack of autonomy and independency, which leads to the problems I just discussed, such as social, professional exclusion, depression. And overall, this is responsible for a decrease in the quality of life and well-being of these patients. So this was our target population. And in order to compensate these motor disabilities, these patients usually rely heavily on assistive devices, such as conventional walkers or canes, crutches, to compensate for their loss of function and to assist their daily tasks. And in fact, currently, there is no pharmacological or surgical cure to treat hereditary ataxia. And in the case of ataxia as a symptom, this can be improved by treating the cause, but sometimes it can be a difficult symptom to treat. So rehabilitation again becomes the key word to combat these problems and try to provide some rehabilitation to them. So the goal was to develop a multifunctional assistive device for mobility assistance and gait and posture rehabilitation to these patients. This device should be used as a therapy and a clinical evaluation tool, allowing the user a motor rehabilitation that is personalized and adjusts to his or her needs. And those, as I said, this was a multidisciplinary team that involved an academia group, a clinical group, and then also the industrial group that together ensures an innovative technology oriented to an ergonomic design that would promote a higher degree of acceptance and usability of the product by the user. So the proposed solution responds to these needs with a four-wheeled, intelligent and customized robotic walker that tries to ensure the user's locomotion in a safe and intuitive way. It does this by providing assistance more focused on the real needs of these ataxic patients, enhancing a more natural gait and a more stable posture, proposing quantitative clinical data to evaluate the patient progress and better design of therapies, and also appealing to a strong participation of the user and engagement in the rehabilitation process. with the focus of all these aspects, trying to accelerate the motor recovery and independency on daily life activities. So this project started in 2011, in fact, in CSIC with um, a master's student, and then it has been evolving in terms of electronics and design through numerous meetings with the working patterns in order to increase the functionality of the device and its acceptance. Always, as I said, deployed in the hospital and intensively used by the users. So the first version was built as a proof of concept, and just to verify the requirements and functionalities that the device should contain to answer to the needs. This structure was very rudimentary, as you can see there, so it was very interesting to be able to check the clinicians how when they saw this first device, and it was demanding very several functional and material improvements. Then we just go and improve until this final walk-it model that we can see here in 2020, which is now at the hospital with intensive use. So the device was constructed from a robust and resistant material in order to offer safety, stability, and confidence to the user. Its structure was increased and improved in relation to all the previous prototypes in order to provide a strong base of support for the user, and an ergonomic wooden platform was here in the left, which presents a curvature in the contact area with the user in order to send the user on the structure and ensure a correct posture. Further, horizontal handles were also introduced, as you can see here in the middle, to help the user in the process of sitting and standing. Also, we have this handlebar you have here in the middle to deal with these ataxia disorders, and by promoting a simple and smooth and intuitive driving. And also two lifting columns here on the right were introduced, which allows a quick and effective height adjustment of the walker's support platform, ensuring there's a high level of customization for the user. So further, regarding the device architecture, it is modular and hierarchical, being divided basically into distinct levels, an high level and a low level. The high level concerns mainly the perception layer, responsible for the interaction functionalities with the human being, such as clinical assessment of gait and posture, intuitive graphic interfaces, or feedback tools, and also some dual tasks we are now introducing, while the low level is more responsible for low-level data acquisition, sensor data processing, and low-level controls such as PIDs. Well, the walker, it is instrumented with several embedded sensors, such as cameras for the eye, for the posture, and for the legs, lasers, load cells, ultrasonic sensors for seeing the environment and leading with autonomous movement, and also inertial systems, which are used all together to control the multiple functionalities of the devices. So it provides different modes of operation, which are used considering the patient disability level. We have a remote control, which is basically developed for users who have little dexterity in driving the device due to cognitive problems. And also we have a manual control, which is controlled by the user through the handlebar that directly decode motions like going forward, turn right, turn left. Here, the user supports his own weight on the wooden platform and places his earth or arms on the dedicated support, thus increasing the stability of the gait and reducing the load on the lower limbs. So here you can see the modes of operations, just acting, and also we have here in the hospital, in the university, in here the walker perspective, just being driven. So other functionalities are gait and posture monitoring. The walker uses cameras to continuously monitor the user through the several rehabilitation sessions. It is particularly important to customize the rehabilitation to the clinical needs of each user through thus this quantifiable data complementing the current assessment performed through clinical scales. Here we have assessment of gait and posture through information collected by RGB depth cameras. And we can here visualize the reconstruction of the biomechanical skeleton of the user in real time. These algorithms are then useful to provide also to explore this visual biofeedback, which is very effective in promoting human-robot interaction, so that we can, the patients can have access regarding their gait pattern and their posture, and thus they self-correct their posture and gait. So just briefly, we here show some case studies. This was a male inpatient, and it used this device for 5 days a week for 3 weeks, and we could see speed improvements and also cadence improvements. In the case 2, we also used the device in 40 sessions, and also we could verify gait speed and cadence improvement, and also that the patient learned how to position the foot. And also in the case 3, we could see that there was a decreased risk of falls, and the patient stopped crossing her legs while the gait variability decreased. So this work led to several results, and was developed with this team that I briefly show here. And I will just briefly show another work that we had, which was a work considering exoskeletons and orthosis, and also functional electrical simulation. So considering the current solutions present in the literature, and especially those that are commercially available, we verified that they were not able to modulate assistance based on the patient needs. So the rehabilitation was not personalized as needed, and they did not transfer to the most important activities of daily living, and also was missing some clinical evidence. And so we just decided that was needed to develop some continuous gait analysis tools and personalized and assisted as need control strategies, and integrate them into the wearable assistive robots. And we did that by proposing these 2 wearable robots, one based on FAS, that you have here on the left, and the other based on robotic lower limb exoskeleton. Both devices share the same principles. They integrate a wearable motion lab plus a wearable assistive robot, whether a FAS or exoskeleton, plus they are able to provide biofeedback, and they contain tools based on artificial intelligence to achieve a personalized gait rehabilitation and gait analysis systems. Um, just in some detail, I show here the wearable motion lab for ambulatory analysis, which contains a kinematics gait analysis, muscular gait analysis, and provides spatial temporal parameters. So they were developed to be used in the continuous use in clinical or daily settings, um, in ambulatory analysis. Just wanted this to advance. And all the metrics that will be collected and monitored by these sensors will be used to feed user-specific disability assessment tools, which will estimate the patient disability level and the user needs. Overall, these achievements enable to achieve a continuous and objective gait analysis with affordable sensors, an open architecture for third-party systems integration, and support the clinical decision-making in motor diagnosis. And also they were able to adapt the robust assistance to user needs. So these were tested in clinical studies with the Hospital of Braga, and they were benchmarked according to commercial systems. So regarding the gait analysis tools, we developed real-time gait event detection tools, which are shown here, and we just validated according to varying gait speeds and terrains. We also developed locomotion intention prediction tools, and we are exploring the fusion of data from our wearable motion lab with data that is now tracked by an EEG system to develop intention decoding tool based on artificial intelligence algorithms, and these will are expected to predict the user's motor intentions as early as possible, considering the several daily activities like level ground, ramps, stairs, or sit to stand. And to achieve this goal, we are now collecting data in real scenarios, as the ones you can see here, and are creating multimodal data sets that, as Virginia said, they are lacking. And we are exploring then which are the meaningful data sensors that will be able to better feed these AI algorithms. So this work is thus contributing with, I just identified, and for the moment we just identified the STM tool that was the best answer to predict these daily locomotion modes. So regarding control, we also pick this user's intention and user's needs, and then we are exploring bio-inspired architecture with adaptive controllers, and we just for the exoskeleton, we already implemented several adaptive controllers, whether based on trajectory tracking or EMG based control to adjust according to the user's EMG signals. Also adaptive impedance control and human in the loop regarding metabolic cost control to achieve a personalized rehabilitation, and we contributed with a multifunctional assistive device that is suitable for distinct kinds of therapies like repetitive training, muscular strength training, functional training, or users variability. The same principle has been applied in a FAST system, in which we have a brain-computer interface to decode users' intentions as normally used, and so the neuroprosthesis can timely evoke the muscle stimulation according to the user's motor intention, and thus successfully provide a personalized assistance to people with spinal cord injury. So here we expect to contribute with an intuitive and continuous phase use, thus resulting in better benefits for sensory motor system and thus an improved muscle strength. So we also explored user-oriented biofeedback, just with multimodal cues to improve the human-robot interaction and also the engagement of the user, and also a therapist-oriented feedback such that the therapist can follow and adapt the training based on real-time and objective Gait data. So here I will just briefly show the use case, so a mobile application that we just developed that enables to customize the configuration. It is intuitive and easy to use and can be just changed during the ongoing therapy. So all the data is collected and shown in the desktop application also during the therapy. So it is time effective and power effective, and also we were able to expand to other models like for the phase that I just mentioned. Sorry. So here we also had several achievements, and also the consortium was highly multidisciplinary, in fact, also multisectorial. And this is the team. And I want again to thank you for your time and your attention. And thank you so much for this opportunity.